Good afternoon, all of you. Can you hear me? Please, someone confirm whether you can hear my voice clearly. Can you hear me? Okay, we will wait another 2 minutes. We will start. Can you see my screen now? Please, someone responds.
Yes, sir.
This is common for third years and fourth years for data mining as well as data analytics and business intelligence subjects. Are you both in the session? 2 badges are there. Can someone respond? Hello, can you hear me? Just try to talk, otherwise I can't understand anything. Even in the physical lecture, we will understand by looking your faces, but even you don't turn on your videos. So just whenever I ask something, please try to answer the questions. Give me a minute. Can you hear me now? Yes,
sir.
someone talk.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, I can't hear my connection is good or not. Okay, we will start the session. You can see my screen. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, today we are going to discuss one of the important part, that is a standardized process. Whenever we are developing or whenever we are doing a project based on the data mining, we must need to apply some standard process. That is what we are discussing today. Cross-industry standard process for data mining. Okay, this is what we are discussing today. End of the session, you will learn what are the steps you need to follow whenever you are developing a data mining project. Whenever you apply these cross-industry standard process for data mining, you must need to follow some steps. There is a flow. There is a sequence of activities you need to follow. Then only you can achieve your goal, your objectives. That is the thing we are discussing today. Also, we will apply, or we will discuss some real world examples, how different firms apply these standard process whenever they are developing a project based on data mining. These are the things you must need to discuss today. Also, I remind you, end of the session, I will give you an assignment. That assignment is you need to submit a document that briefly explain the cross-industrial standard process for data mining by some case studies. Each and everyone use some different case studies to explain these steps of this cross-industrial standard process of data mining. Okay, just remember. So just try to understand the things what we are discussing. Then only you can complete that assignment as well. Okay, let's look at this first one. We will discuss some introduction about that Scripps data mining process, cross industrial standard process for data mining. Whenever we are looking that Scripps data mining process, it is a standard process. This is not a locally apply. Whenever you want, you can't apply your own ways. Whenever you apply these steps, you must need to follow some standard process. All over the world, each and everyone uses this same standard process. Why we need a standard process? Can someone tell me? Why we need some standardized process? Even whenever we are providing a degree for you, we are maintaining some standard process. You need to complete your degree without any E grades. Also, you need to satisfy the GPA of 2.0 or above. We are maintaining some standards. Why? What is the benefit whenever we apply some standards? Can someone tell me? What are the benefits you can get whenever you follow some standards? What will happen? We can't follow any standard. Let's say each and every university, they are maintaining different standards. It's very difficult to analyze the quality of the work they done. Let's say the university A use some different standards. Let's say they are providing degree, even a student get 35 marks or above. Another university B, they also following different standards. They provide degree even whenever student get over 50 marks. What will happen? They can follow different standards. Anyone tell me? What are the disadvantages you can get whenever you didn't follow any standard mechanisms? Just think about your degree. Different universities provide different standards for provide degrees. What will happen? We can evaluate the quality of the degree or quality of the students they get knowledge. Am I correct? So whenever we are following some standards, we can easily measure as a generalized way. Even whenever any university provide the degree, whenever they are following the same standards, let's say all the state universities following the UGC standards. Am I correct? So we can easily measure the quality of the graduates because each and every university follow the same standard procedures. Similarly, whenever we apply the data mining in our project, all over the world, we are following some standard processes, standard steps. Whenever we apply those standard process, we can easily get some satisfaction in our works. We can verify the quality of the work. Am I correct? So whenever we are applying the standard process, we are standardizing the data mining process. Even in Sri Lanka, we apply some project, some other countries, USA, there are some students using a data mining process. Whenever both are applying the same standard process, we can ensure the quality of the work because both are using the same standard processes. What will happen? They can't apply the same standard process, standard base. Let's imagine the measures. Let's imagine what will happen. We each and everyone didn't follow a standard unit for measure the weights. What will happen if you fail to define a standard measurement for measure the weights? What will happen? Let's say different shops are there. They are deciding 1 kilogram based on their way. What will happen? Definitely they didn't provide the same 1 kilo. If you buy a 1 kilo sugar in one shop, and whenever you go to the another shop and whenever you try to measure, it definitely more than 1 kilo or less than 1 kilo. Am I correct? Is it possibility to happen whenever we don't follow any standard process for measurements to measure the weights? Please someone answer. Are you in the session or not? I can't understand. Please respond me. Otherwise, I didn't take the lectures. Whether it's right or wrong, just answer. Or you are okay with to turn on your videos. What is your preference? Answer the question so you can turn on your videos. What is your preference? I don't know whether you are in the session or not. No one is answering it. Are you in the session or not? What else you can get whenever you are following some standard process? I told you, whenever we are measure the weights, we must need to follow some standard. What will happen? We can't follow some standards. Even in Sri Lanka, they are following some standards, ISO standards, to measure the quality. What is the purpose of that quality measurements? What is the purpose? They are generalizing the things and each and everywhere. As a ISO organization, try to generalize the quality each and every places in Sri Lanka or over the world. That is the way they are following some standards. Similarly, whenever we are applying some data mining projects, we must need to follow some standard mechanisms. Then only we can ensure the quality of the work what we are doing. What will happen if you don't follow any standard process? You don't have any order or sequence to achieve your task. Sometimes you did some errors in your measurements or calculation. As a result, you can get some different results. So whenever you're applying some standard process, you can avoid those things. There are some sequential steps. You need to do these steps after this one and you continue these after this. Likewise, you need to follow something standard process. Am I correct? But what we are here discussing is we are standardizing the data mining process. The ultimate goal is we are standardizing the data mining process. No one can do whatever they want, whatever their interest. They can't do the data mining process. They must need to follow these standards. Okay. It helps to guide our plan and organize the work, how we can execute the data mining projects. These are some benefits. We can easily plan whenever we apply these data mining standard process. Also, we can easily organize the data. We can easily execute the data mining algorithms. Also, we can analyze the work. These are some benefits we can get. This is what I ask you. Why do we need a standard process? It definitely we can guarantee the quality. Am I correct? Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
What else? Whenever we apply some standard process, it gives some guidelines. Let's say whenever you complete your thesis, you must need to follow some standard process. Throughout this, you are maintaining some standards. Also, it provides some guidelines. Am I correct? You need to start with your introduction. After the introduction, you need to provide some literature review. After that, the methodology. After that, the results and discussion. You need to follow some the way how you can complete your work. So it will clearly explain some guidelines for your work. Am I correct? So each and everywhere they are maintaining some standards. Even whenever nowadays we each and everyone stay in the queues to buy the fuels. At the time, they are maintaining some standards. It's a 1 liter. It means there is a standard measurements. What will happen if they don't follow any measures, any standard measurements for measure the liquid? Different people give different measurements. Sometimes they give you 1 liter petrol, but if it is a 900 milliliters or 950, how they will solve these kind of problems? By maintaining some standard measurements. If it is a 1 liter, it must be satisfy this amount of liquid. That is the way they are maintaining. Each and every organization, they are audit. The auditors are check whether they are balance, measurement balance or liquid balance are working properly. That is the way they are maintaining some standards. Similarly, whenever we are applying data mining, we must need to follow some standard process. Also, we can, whenever we apply some standard process, it will give you some framework and some orders of the work. It helps to easily maintain your works, manage your works. One of the ultimate goal is whenever we apply some data mining standards, you must definitely get some high productivity. Am I correct? Rather than without following any standard mechanisms, you get low accuracy even without any proper way to follow the data mining task. You get some low accuracies in your prediction models. But what will happen whenever you apply some data mining techniques with some standard process? It will you can definitely get some high outputs, high accurate models from your data mining task. Am I correct? That is the reason we need to follow some standard process. Each and everywhere you can look at the standard things. Can someone tell me an example of it? Where you can see some standard process or standard things? Anyone? I told you some examples in the university. They are following some standards for calculate your grades and some standard rules for your degrees, even whenever you are measure the weight, whenever you buy some liquid, there are some standards. Someone tell me an example of some standards you notice in your life where you can notice some standard ways or standard process, standardized things where you can notice. Where you notice some standardized things. Anyone? Yeah, food and beverage. Yeah, very good. In the foods, whenever you buy some biscuits or chocolates, they can't add whatever they want to get more profit. They can't add more and more sugar or more and more things, but they get more benefits. They must need to follow some standard. Even whenever they include some ingredients, they need to follow some standards. Even some ingredients, they can't put about 5 milligrams or likewise. If they can't, they can increase the weight, they need to face some legal issues. So each and everywhere they are maintaining some standards. Even whenever in bakeries, whenever they make some breads, they need to follow the weight of the bread. That is a standard. If it is a bread, one loaf of bread, it must meet 750 grams or something. Likewise, they have some standard ways. If they fail to manage these standards, definitely they will face some issues by the legal organization. Okay. So here also we are discussing some standard process for data mining. Okay, whenever we are look at the cross-industrial standard process for data mining, this is a one technique, one methodology, one framework. That framework contains 6 different phases. Whenever you are developing a data mining project, you must need to break the entire task into these 6 steps. First steps, you need to understand the business. You must have a good understanding of the business. Let's say whenever you are developing a data mining project for the banking industry, you must need to know about the banking domains. Without the proper knowledge about the banking domain, you can't do anything. Even let's imagine you are developing a data mining project for credit card customers. So you must need to get some knowledge. You must need an expert in the credit card cross transactions, each and everything, whatever related to credit card transaction, you must need a good knowledge. So that is considered in business understanding. Second phase is data understanding. Data understanding in the sense, before we implement the data mining, based on the business understanding, we need some data. Let's say you are planning to implement the data mining task for credit card transactions. What type of data you need? Data understanding in the sense, you must decide what type of data, what are the attributes we need to collect as a data, those data understanding related things, what are the attributes we have, each and everything cover in data understanding. Can someone tell me what are the data attributes you need whenever you are developing a project for data mining related to credit card transactions? Just say you are the data scientist in a particular bank. Your manager asks you to develop a project to cluster their customers based on their credit card transactions. What type of data you need related to your card holders? Anyone? Anyone tell me what type of data you can consider whenever you are cluster the customers of the bank in credit card domain? Anyone? It is not a theory part, it's just a applications. Even each and everyone heard about credit cards. So just think about, you need to cluster the credit card holders based on their usage behavior. What type of attributes, what type of data you need to collect whenever you need to cluster. Let's imagine in your batch 80 students are there. 80 students have credit cards. The behavior of the 80 students, they can use the credit card is different. So you need to cluster them into 3 or 4 clusters based on their usage behavior. How you can cluster or categorize those groups? What type of data you need? Yeah, qualitative or quantitative. I am asking some example attributes you need to consider whenever you are clustering the customers related to credit card. Their monthly usage, what is the limit they have, now how many installments they can apply their cards, how often they can use their cards, is there any over limit purchases. These are some attributes. Whenever you are look at your customers, each and every student have different characters. So that is the thing, you can understand the data. After the third phase, you must need to prepare data preparations. Data preparation in the sense, data pre-processing. You can't directly apply the data, whatever you collect. You do some data pre-processing. I think we already discussed data pre-processing. Did you remember? What are the different techniques, data pre-processing techniques we discussed? These are comes under data pre-processing. Anyone tell me? What are the different data pre-processing techniques are there? Just tell 1 or 2 examples. Remove outliers. I don't know why you can't try to speak or you can't speak. Rather than you are sending a message, if you are talk, it's better. It's increase your communication skills. I definitely, you're facing big challenge whenever you go for the industry. Just note it in your notebook. If you stay likewise, definitely you are facing some problems. Whenever you go for the industry, you can't be there. They will directly terminate you whenever be silent. You need to speak. That is the way you can share your thoughts and your knowledge with others. What are the different data pre-processing techniques we are discussed? You don't need to worry about to talk. Just talk. Even you can speak in English or in hello Tamil, whatever you want, you can talk. I can understand. Just as an IT graduate, you must very fluent in English. Otherwise, you will face very big issue whenever you go for the industry. Yeah, regression is not a data pre-processing. I am asking, we discussed different data pre-processing techniques. What are the aspects included in the data pre-processing? Regression is one type of data mining. I am asking, we are in the third phase. That phase consider data pre-processing. What are the different data pre-processing? Let's think, we have some missing values. How you can fill the missing values? By using mean or median. It's depending on us. How we can remove outliers? Data transformation. These are called as a data pre-processing. In the fourth phase, it is a major phase. We are develop the model. After pre-process the data, we are getting final data set. Based on the final data set, we can develop the data mining model, whether we can apply some clustering algorithms or whether we can apply some classification or regression association rule mining. This all are comes under modeling. Modeling in the sense we are develop the model. After developing the model, we must need to evaluate what is the accuracy we can get, what is the prediction results, what is the actual predictions, and what is the actual results and predicted results, what is the difference. We can use confusion matrix. Those are the things we can do the evaluations. After the evaluation, we can deploy in the sense we can implement the solution in the real world. For what purpose we do the project, we can apply those project in the real world. Okay, these are the 6 steps we must need to follow in cross-industrial standard process for data mining. Do you have any doubts up to now? Do you have any doubts up to now? Okay, I'm randomly ask some questions. Okay, then you can talk. Zero 40. Can you tell me the 6 steps, at least first 3 steps?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you tell me the first 3 steps of data mining process? Standard data mining process have 6 steps. You can tell me the first 3 steps.
Business understanding,
Yes.
data understanding, data
Yes.
preparation, modeling, evaluation, and deployment.
Yeah, very good. What are the different data pre-processing techniques? 057, can you tell me? What are the different data pre-processing techniques? 057. Are you in the session? 57. Okay, I will note these numbers who didn't respond. Okay. 73. What are the different data pre-processing techniques? Just tell me, before 5 minutes, I told you some pre-processing techniques. What are they? Any assistance? Any assistance? Sixteen. 16 ICT 52. What are the different data pre-processing techniques? $66. What are the different data pre-processing techniques? I am asking pre-processing techniques. Again and again, you are answering regression. Regression is not a pre-processing technique. Regression is a data mining algorithm. One of the way we can do data mining is regression. To predict the exact value, numeric values, we use regression. I am asking pre-processing techniques. whenever you are developing a data mining, one of the step is you need to pre-process the data. There are different pre-processing techniques are there. What are they? Yeah, data cleaning. Inside the cleaning, what contains? Clean the missing values, outlier removals. That's why I am asking that those things I am asking. Yeah, integration, transformations, those things I am asking. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Yeah, the reduction, dimensional reductions, each and everything contains in data pre-processing. Sometimes we need to convert the data types. Let's say we have an age attribute from 5 to 15, 16 to 45, 46 to 65. This is the way we have some data. Sometimes we need to change the type into nominal data, whether we can say as a young, or we can say them as a, let's say we have 5 to 15, we can say as a children. 16 to 30, young. Likewise, we can sometimes, we have this type of data, we can convert into the nominal attributes. That is called data transformation. Did you remember those things what we are discussed? Okay, we can move to this. This is the diagram we need to follow. This is the first step. You need to understand the business. Give me a minute. This is the first step, business understanding, data preparation, modeling, evaluation, and deployment. Also, you need to think about these arrows. After the data understanding, you must need to do the, after the business understanding, you must need to do the data understanding. You can't directly go to the data understanding without do the business understanding. Let's imagine you are working as a software engineer. One of your friend ask you to develop the data mining project for medical industry. You don't have any domain knowledge related to medical industry, especially in diabetic patients. They ask you to develop a data mining project. But as a software engineer, you don't have any experience related to this domain, diabetic disease related domain. So you can't directly go and collect the data. Before you do the data understanding, you must need to understand the business domain. Business domain, here, what is the business domain? That diabetic disease is a business domain. So you need to learn related to diabetic, what type of diabetic, how they can find out what is insulin, each and everything you need to learn related to that disease. After that, you must go to the data understanding. Sometimes you get some data business understanding and you can continue the work, but sometimes whenever you complete the model, and you can, whenever you evaluate, your model didn't get an expected outcomes. Let's say your model have an accuracy of 45%. If you predict 100%, only 45 people it will predict accurately, whether it's acceptable or not. Did you accept this model for real world? Anyone answer? You are continue these steps: business understanding, data pre-processing, modeling, and the evaluation time. You notice your model get an accuracy of 45%. 45% in the sense, whenever you predict the results by using your model, only 45 people, it will predict correctly. Whenever you use 100 people, you randomly take 100 people, only 45% get the correct results. Did you use this model for real world? Anyone answer? Did you use this model for real world? What did you think about? You are doing a research, you get an accuracy of 45%. Did you use or did you recommend this model for real world? What do you think? Just guess the answer. If you have a memory or if you have a thinking capability, you can answer for these questions. You don't need to memorize or you need to become an expert in this field. Just you have a brain, you can answer these questions. If you have a brain, you can answer these questions. You are not you are in the IT people, you must need to think about problem solving. So just imagine and tell me whether you can accept this model. Let's say you are doing a research, your research accuracy. Accuracy means your research is you need to predict the prices of the houses. Or you are trying to predict the cancer by using some data attributes. You can predict whether this person affected by cancer or not. At the time, if you select 100 people, your model only predict correctly 45 people. Whether did you accept this model to implement in the real world? Zero zero 008, what do you think? 008, what do you think? Did you recommend this model for real world? No. Why?
No,
What is the reason? It will not predict. Half of the predictions are false. So
correct.
you can't recommend this model. So then you need to do, just go. You need to find out where this model is error. So sometimes you don't get some attributes which is highly correlated to your model. So again, you can go to the business understanding and you can improve your business understanding. Based on the business understanding, sometimes you will change some data understanding. Sometimes you will change some data attributes. Sometimes you will remove some attributes. It's negatively correlated. That is the way you can find. The important thing is the arrow is very, very important. Whenever you apply these standard process, you must need to follow these order. It's not similar to that waterfall model. Let's say you must need, the first step is you must need to understand the business. Then you need to understand the data. Then you do the data preparations, then the model. Sometimes whenever you are modeling, you realize I missed some data pre-process work. Then you can go again here and do the missed data pre-processing work. Again, after that, you can implement the model. You must need to check the error of the different phases. After that, you evaluate the model. After the evaluation, sometime you can realize accuracy is very low. So again, you start with the business understanding, or you can change, you can add some more people to analyze the business or understand the domain. Then again, you can select some data attributes. You can also you remove some attributes, or already you decide whether it's highly correlated. Sometimes you can change some attributes. After that, again, you must need to do the data pre-processing. It's a cycle. It's happening as a cycle. The important thing is there is no strict rules. If you think about waterfall, it must be from 1 to 7 phases. It will complete. After again, it will come to the first phase. But it's not like that here. Here you can start 1, 2, 3, third phase. After that fourth phase, you can realize you must do again the data preparation. And then again you can go for the previous phase. And again come here. Then you can continue. Likewise, there is no strict sequence in this standard process. You can go even backward as well as forward. It's depending on you. Based on the output of each phases, you can decide whether you can move backward or forward. Okay. The important thing is the arrow is very, very important. Arrow is indicates the dependencies. Let's think about here. This arrow says after the business understanding, you can do the data understanding. I already told you what will happen. You are following this one as an initial phase. After the data understanding, you are trying to learn the domain. Whether you can success or not. You can't success. Without the business understanding of the domain, you can't do any data understanding. Even you can't get related data without the domain knowledge. So the first step is business understanding. You must familiar with the business domain. Then only you can find out the related attributes and behaviors. And you start with the data collection works. Okay. The outer cycle, it says it is the normal procedure. It goes the clockwise. Also, one important thing is if you achieve one by one, you are completing here. It's not says you are stopping the model. After deployment also, you continue these things. This is not stop. What is the reason? We can't stop after deployment. Even after some durations, the behavior is changed. So you must need to do these 6 phases again and again. Even after the deployment also, they are continue the modeling. This is an iterative process. If you have any doubts up to now, you can ask me. Because you have an assignment on this. That's why I am asking you. If you have any doubts, you don't wait. If you have any doubts, you can ask. This is what I am saying here. The data mining process is continue. After the deployment also, the data mining process is continue. After the solution is deployed, we can't stop the data mining process. We can continue the data mining process. Sometimes the behavior is changed time to time. So we need to do the data mining process frequently after the deployment. Even after the deployment also, you need to continue. This is one standard process. Also, another standard process called SEMA. Sample, explore, modify, model, and access. If you need more information, you can Google it. This is also one way we can apply as a data mining standard process. This is developed by SAS company, SAS Institute for their purposes. It's also similar to this one. Okay. Okay, now we will discuss one by one. What are the different phases? Anyone tell me what are the 6 phases we need to discuss here? Anyone? Do you remember these 6 phases? Do you remember the 6 phases? Anyone? Any assistant to answer the question? I need to Turn on your mic and tell me the answer. What are the 6 phases? '17 ICT 24. Can you tell me the 6 phases? '17 ICT 024. Can you tell me the 6 phases? '17 ICT 008. Tell me, what are the 6 phases of cross-industrial standard process?
Business understand, data
Yeah,
understand,
yeah,
data preparation,
yeah,
modeling, evaluation, and deployment.
yeah, very good. Okay, we will move to the each steps, okay? Before moving to these, I will explain these 6 steps by using a case study or real world example, okay? I will explain these by using a real world example, how you can apply these cross-industrial standard process for data mining. Let's imagine in Sri Lanka, the tourism industry is highly acceptable for foreign exchanges. Am I correct? Before the corona and this pandemic situation and this current situation of the country, one of the important aspect for foreign exchange in our country is tourism. Am I correct? Am I
Yes, sir.
correct? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So a travel agency decides to cluster their tourists based on their interest. Every year, there are thousands of tourists visit Sri Lanka. Based on their interest, they will recommend some places. They need to cluster their tourists based on their interest. That is the ultimate goal of this travel agency. Okay. Now we will look at how they will start or how they will apply these cross-industrial standard process in their business goal. Okay, we already know the first step is business understanding. Okay, let's look at what are the things the business understanding contains. First of all, we need to understand the project. What is, we are developing a data mining project, so we need to understand the ultimate goal of our project. What is the objective we are trying to achieve throughout this project? What are the requirements based on the business perspective? These are the things we must need to understand. After we can understand the business perspective, we can convert these business objective into data mining problem. Finally, we will develop the plan, how we will start, how long it will take. The plan document is generated. If you think about data mining, there are different data mining techniques are there. So you are the one, you decide which data mining technique I need to apply for this type of problems. For that, you must need good understanding about the business domain. If you think about our case study, they are trying to cluster their tourists based on their interest. Their interest is changed by their age, by the weather conditions, by from where they can visit to Sri Lanka. It's changed person to person, their interest is changed. So as a tourist agent, they are trying to cluster their customers based on their interest. So as a business understanding, you must need to get good idea about what are the different factors influencing the interest of the tourist. Can someone tell me what is the ultimate goal of the project? You are doing a project for tourist agent. What they want, they need to cluster their tourists based on their interest. What is the ultimate goal? The project objectives. You need to cluster the customers. For that, what are the requirements you need? You need to find out what are the different places, how you can cluster the places based on their different aspects. Sometimes we can cluster by historical places. Also, we can cluster the seasides, or you can cluster the hill area. Likewise, we can cluster the tourist places based on their different aspects. Am I correct? So you need to learn what are the aspects that attract the tourist. Which type of people need which type of interest. It's changing. If it is a teenage, they have different interests. If you consider the elders, they have different interests. So as a business understanding, you must need to understand what are the different places are there in Sri Lanka that is attracted by the tourists, and from which country the people come to the Sri Lanka, what they expecting from us. Let's think about a person visit from the place where they don't have any sea. So they like to bath in the sea or some beaches, or they visit and they sunbath. They can more priority for these type of places when they visit from the country where they don't have any seasides or waterfalls. So all the thing you need to consider throughout the business understanding, you must need to analyze your customer needs. Customer needs in the sense, who are the customers here? The tourists, they are the customers. So in the business understanding, first of all, you need to, what are the different types of places are there in Sri Lanka? So you need to get an idea about how we can categorize the places. From which countries people are visit to Sri Lanka. Everything you need to consider, you need to analyze in business understanding. After that, you are developing the plan. Also, you need to convert, how you can convert the data mining. Whether if it is a clustering, you must need to convert into clustering techniques, whether it's a hierarchical clustering, okay, means it's depending on you. Sometimes you need to predict. For predictions, you need to use different classifications, whether it's sometimes you need to predict the values, accurate numeric values. For that, you can use regressions. It's depending on you. You are the one, based on your project objective, you need to convert the problem domain which can apply by data mining techniques. It's depending on you. If you have a clear idea about the business, then only you can easily convert your problem domain into different data mining techniques. Am I correct? After that, you can develop the plan, how we can start, how you can do step by step, how it sometimes you need to think about the data collection process. Sometimes it take a lot of time periods. So depending on these, you will develop the preliminary plan. If you think about the business understanding, these are the most important 4 tasks. First one is you need to can you see my screen now? Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, okay, thank you. Yeah, these 4 steps you must need to consider. What is the first step? You must need to find out the business objectives. Then you need to assess the situations. Based on their previous example, is it suitable for apply now? Anyone tell me? You are planning to develop plus clustering the tourists based on their interest. Is it suitable to do this project up to now, this situation? In this situation, this time period, can you apply this? Anyone? Did you develop this type of project now? Nowadays, you can apply this type of project or not? Anyone? This is not a theory. I'm asking the real world things. You know the current situation of the country. Did you apply this tourist-based data mining project now? Anyone? Just think and tell me. Just think and tell me whether did you start the project now? 002, can you tell me? You are running and traveling agents. You are trying to start this project now, this today or tomorrow. Is it acceptable or not? What do you think? $67. What do you think? 17 ICT 67. What do you think? Did you start the project now? Yeah, very good. Why? What is the reason? You are saying no. Why? What is the reasons? In Sri Lanka nowadays, there is a very few people visit as a tourist. So if you do this type of project nowadays, you can't get some accurate results. So you must need to assess the situations. Whenever you start the project, you must need to assess the situation, whether you can apply this type of project now. It's suitable. Let's think about during the COVID pandemic situations, the country is locked down. So someone is starting a project for diabetic patients clustering. Is it possible? No, he can't possible because he can't collect the data. He must need to visit the hospital and he must need to visit each and every patients to complete the survey or questionnaire. So it's a difficult task. So you must need to think about the situations whenever you start a project. It's also influence. Okay. Also, you must need to determine what are the data mining goals you have. What is the project plan? Each things are considered in business understanding. So as a case study, the ultimate goal is they need to increase the tourist capabilities, the tourist visiting capabilities to the country by analyzing the different categories. Let's say what are the advantages they can get whenever they are cluster their tourists based on their interest. Whenever someone is visit to Sri Lanka in the airport, they can easily recommend we are complete the survey and we can cluster their interest. Based on their interest, we can recommend the places. They don't need to suffer to get some places, or they don't need to Google it directly. We are asking to fill the questionnaire. Based on the questionnaire, we can easily figure out their category, their cluster, their group, what are the interests they have. Based on this, we can easily recommend some places to visit. So the ultimate goal is they need to increase their travel agent customers. They need to increase their tourist visits, different places. Let's say we have only one tourist place in Sri Lanka. Is it possible to apply this type of research? We can't. In Sri Lanka, there are different types of places are there. So the different types of people interest are changed. That is the reason we are planning to develop this kind of research. So as a business understanding, there are major objectives to determine the factors what influence the interest. The major goal of this business understanding is determine the factors to choose the different places in Sri Lanka. So as a business understanding, we need to find out what are the different factors. We need to collect those factors. Based on the factors, we can cluster the customers. How we can find out these factors? We can't do this project within 2 or 3 days. We must need to continue this research 6 months or 12 months, and we need to collect the data from the tourists who visit Sri Lanka last year. Based on this, we are creating some profiles. So based on the profile, we can find out what are the different factors they are considering to choose the places in Sri Lanka. Am I correct? Whenever some tourists visit Sri Lanka and they are checking different factors or different factors they consider whenever they are trying to visit a place. So we must need to collect the data of past 1 year by different tourists. Based on their different factors, we can easily find out some important factors to cluster the customers. That is the way we can do the business understanding. Do you have any doubts up to now? Do you have any doubts? Okay, now we can move to the second phase, data understanding. Data understanding in the sense, it starts with the data collection process. In which we need to familiarize with the data. Even we have good knowledge in the business domain, it's not enough to achieve the goal, but we are planning to complete throughout the data mining project. After the business understanding, we must need to start the data collection work. Not only for data collection work, after we are collecting the data, we must need to familiarize with the data. Familiarizing data means we need to figure what are the attributes we have, what is the minimum values and maximum values. Whenever we are looking at an attribute, you can easily find out what is the minimum value and maximum values. Is there any outliers are there? You must, what are the attributes have missing values? You need to familiarize what is the mean, median values. You need to familiarize with the data you collected. It's also one important factor to build a successful model. Am I correct? Data understanding in the sense, it starts with the data collection process with the familiarization of the data. Let's say you are preparing a questionnaire, you can issue the questionnaire for the diabetic patients and you are collecting the data. After collecting the data, you convert or you insert the data into the computer and you can check each and every attributes, whether how many people answer, how many males and females. You are familiarized with the data. That's very important to do some models. What we are doing here is whenever we are collecting the data from the data is a raw material. There is no meaningful information. From the data, we are trying to provide a solution. Sometimes the data what we have is not exactly match with our research project. Why it is not matched with our research project? Sometimes the data is collected for different purposes. Sometimes if you think about the diabetic patient database, they are collecting the patient information for records. What are the medicines they give for them, each clinic. So whenever we get those data, that data file is not collected for our purposes. So sometimes they are collecting for different purposes. So we can't exactly expect the matching data. Sometimes we need to convert based on our requirements. We need to convert some attributes. Am I correct? So data understanding in the sense you check each and everything. Sometimes you must need to pay for the data sets. It's also happened. So whenever you are developing a project, you must allocate some cost for that as well. You can't get all the data as a free of charge. Sometimes you need to pay for the data sets. Am I correct? So you must need to think about all the things in data understanding. Sometimes the data you have some noises, so you need to remove the noises. Each and everything comes under data understanding. If you look at the genetic task, first of all, we are collecting the initial data. We are collecting the diabetic patient's data. After that, we are describe the data. Describe the data in the sense we are getting what type of attributes are, what is the measurement unit. Let's say, if you think about the diabetic patients, there are some data called insulins. What is the measuring unit of the insulin injections? What is the in glucose percentage? There are different things you need to think about. So you need to describe those things. Also, you must need to explore. Whenever you explore the data points, then only you can easily find out the outliers. Let's say you have 1,000 diabetic patient data. Without the exploration in the sense you can draw some graphs and you can plot the data points, then only you can easily find out some outliers. So you must think about the explorations. Also, you must need to verify the quality. If you are collecting the data from the internet, we cannot say the quality is high. What will happen if you visit the hospital and collect the clinic records? It's highly accurate and quality data. So these genetic task comes under data understanding. If you think about an example of our case study says we need to cluster the tourists based on their interest. For that, we need to create a profile of the tourist and what are the factors that influence their interest. So for the data understanding, what they are doing is they are assigned to research people to collect the tourist data, or they are doing a study related to Sri Lankan tourist interest. It's different. There are some reasons people visit for Sri Lanka. So based on their study, they will report these are some aspects we will notice the people who visit. How they will find out these aspects? By direct interview with tourists, or they can communicate with, or they can collaborate with the tourists, different places, and they asking what is the reason why, what are the places you are interested in Sri Lanka. Likewise, they are doing a research and they will recommend some aspects the people like to visit Sri Lanka. So let's think about the data is collected in late 2018. What is the reason I am taking 2018 for collect the data? Anyone guess? There are some reasons. In 2019, there is a blast. Due to the blast, the tourist visits are reduced. Am I correct? It is negatively impact of tourists. In 2020, we affected by COVID. So it's also negatively affect the tourism. Am I correct? That is the reason I am taking 2018 to collect the data. Okay, let's think about they are using a survey to 13,445 tourists. Among them, they are checking how many people over 18. The age is over 18. Also, they travel at least 80 kilometers a day. In a day, they are traveling 80 kilometers. Based on these, they will filter. At the time, they are checking only 3,071 people, tourists, are filtered. So similarly, if you think about data understanding, you are getting some information about the data you have. What they are doing here is they are collecting 13,000, approximately 30,500 tourist data set. Among them, they will filter or they will group over 18 or under 18. Likewise, they will notice among them how many people travel less than 80 kilometers or more than 80 kilometers. What is the numbers? They will understand about the data. Even if you think about the diabetic patients, you must need to think how many people affected by diabetic in the early ages. Nowadays, there are young people are affected by diabetics. So whenever you are doing a data mining project, you need to think about how many people affected by type 1 diabetic, type 2, how many people, type 3, how many, what is the age, they will find out they have diabetic, and what are the insulins they can use, what is the amount of glucose they can use as an insulin, how many times a day they can put, what is the symptoms they can face. All the things you can get based on the data understanding. How many males and females affected by the diabetics. From where you can collect those information from your data understanding. Data understanding means you can explore the data and you can find out different aspects of the data. Am I correct? Do you understand what I'm saying? Hello, do you have any doubts? You can ask me. First, we discussed business understanding. Now we are discussing about data understanding. Data understanding means you need to clear idea about the data. Do you have any doubts? Do you have any doubts? Okay, now we will move to the data preparation. Data preparation means we don't directly apply the data mining algorithms, but the data we are collect. Before we are apply the data mining techniques, we are doing some data pre-processing works. After the data pre-processing work, we are getting the final data set. Let's say whenever we are collecting a data, we have a lot of attributes we have, but we can't consider each and every attribute for the clustering purposes. We need to do correlation analysis and what are the correlation between different attributes. Based on this, we will select some aspects, some behaviors or some characters. So those specific attributes we can say as a final data set. Sometimes we have some missing values, so we need to remove those missing values. Sometimes we will fill the missing values by mean or median. Sometimes we can use mod values, whether it's a nominal data. If it's a numeric data, we can fill by mean or median values. It's depending on us, what type of data we are collecting. So data pre-processing in the sense, all the activities that we are doing before the final data set we are feed into the model, we consider as a data preparation. Sometimes we can convert that into tables. Sometimes we have data set as a row, so we need to convert into table. Sometimes we select some attributes, sometimes we remove some attributes, sometimes we transform the attributes, sometimes we clean the attributes. Each and everything we call as a data preparation. Data mining techniques or data mining technology is very powerful, but whenever we need to apply the data mining techniques, that algorithm expects from some aspect from the data. If our data have a lot of missing values, we can definitely say we can't get some accurate predictions or accurate outcome from the model, or we cannot get some patterns. It's highly related with the data sets. So the data mining techniques expect different aspects from the data. Let's look at what are they. Sometimes some algorithms, they need to convert the data into tabular formats. Sometimes we can't apply the algorithm with missing values. Sometimes we remove the missing values, or we update or fill the missing values by different techniques. Even sometimes we can handle the outliers. Sometimes we can convert the data type into different types, nominal to numeric, numeric to nominal. It depending on set data analytic techniques we are applying. So we must need to think about all the data preparations before we implement the model. If you think about the genetic task, first of all, we must need to select the data. Let's say we have 15 attributes. We are collecting from the diabetic patients. We are collecting 15 attributes. We can't use these 15 attributes to cluster the diabetic patients. We must do a correlation analysis. Based on the correlations, we can figure out only 6 or 7 attributes which highly correlated with other attributes. So this is called select data. From the 15 attributes, we are selecting only 6 or 7 attributes which highly correlated. After we are getting these 6 attributes, we must need to check whether they have clean or not. Cleaning in the sense different outlier removals, missing values, transformations. Sometimes we have some different attributes. The range is different, so we can convert each and every attribute into the same range. This is also called cleaning. After that, we are construct the data. Sometimes we can integrate different branch data, and that will happen. Integration is also happen. Sometimes we will change the format. Sometimes one branch using a date format as a 15/03/2022. Someone is using 15 March 2022. So both are same, but as a computer, they think both are different. So what we need to do here is we need to reformat into a one type, whether we can use this one or this one. It's depending on us. We can reformat it. Those are considered as a data preparation. In this study also, they are doing a data preparations. Let's say based on the questionnaire, they are figure out 13 factors influence the traveling decisions of the tourist. They can directly apply these 13 attributes, 13 different factors to cluster the customers. Also, they are verify what are the attributes highly correlated. Some attributes is very negatively correlated. Only few people are expecting these attributes. So they analyze and they will check how many from the questionnaire, they will transfer the data into a database and they will check how many attributes filled by how many people, is there any missing values, each and everything they will consider. From this case study, they are find out the quality of accommodation. Most of the tourists checking the quality of the accommodation. What is the quality of the place, whether they have air conditions, all the things they are considered. Also, some factors they are deciding based on the school holidays, weather conditions, all the things they from these 13 factors, they will find out some specific factors. These are highly correlated with the tourist decisions. Sometimes they will consider the weather condition. If you think about the Norelia, they will the weather condition of Norelia is very good in April seasons. So most people visit there. Why they are visiting rather than the other times, rather than if you think about December or October, the weather is good in Norelia in April. So they are look at the weather condition as well. Just think about the current situation of the country. We have facing some power cuts every day. So even this also influence the tourist decisions. They can't like to stay without power. So they avoid to visit Sri Lanka. It is also some conditions. So here in the data preparation, what you need to do is you are checking the attributes, how many people answer all the questions, if there are any missing values in some factors. So if they have some missing values, you need to try to fill. Sometimes you need to remove these tuple. It's also happen in data preparations. Here what they are doing is they are find out some important factors influence the decision making of the tourist. Also, you can look at here. Do you see that? These are some different factors. They are checking some historical places are there, whether they have some leisure time activities, they are boating or scatterboard. Is there all the things they are considered. So what they need to check is if there are any missing values are there or how many people answer some abnormal values. So we need to remove the outliers, everything we consider in data preparation. This is modeling. After the data preparation, we are doing the modeling. Modeling in the sense, we are select the appropriate data mining techniques based on their problem domain. Also, we must need to think about the data understanding. What is the amount of data we have? Let's say we need to apply some deep learning algorithms. For apply the deep learning algorithm, we must need more amount of data. If we have only 100 people data, we can't apply deep learning. So we can move for the decision tree or convolutional neural network. It's depending on us. We must need to select some different techniques based on our data set as well as our requirements. And also in modeling, we are tuning the parameters. We are changing the parameters. We are changing the model. Based on the model, we are checking the accuracy. This is the primary stage of cross-industrial standard process of data mining. Before we are look at all the things, our prerequisites for us to get the good model. This is the ultimate goal. We are implementing the model. The output of this modeling is a pattern, or we are developing a model. Pattern in the sense is also a model. It create based on the data set what we are feed into this algorithm. We have different data mining techniques. We have apply k-means, so hierarchical clustering algorithm, regressions, linear regression, logistic regressions. Also, we apply some classifications, association, rule mining. It's based on our requirements. Also, based on the data set we have, it will change data to data what we have. If you think about the genetic task of modeling, first of all, you need to select the appropriate modeling technique. If you are planning to cluster the tourists, we need to choose which clustering algorithm we can use. Whether if we are doing a predictions, we must need to choose whether we can use classification or regressions, depending on our requirements. So depending on the business objective, we choose the best modeling techniques. Then we will design the testing. We can't evaluate the model without design the testing. What is the amount of data we use to design the model? Let's say we can use 80% of the data to train the model, as well as 20% of the data to test the model. You can decide how many amount, but whether we can use tenfold testing. It's depending on us, and depending on the data set we have, we are decide the testing designs, how we can test, from where we can collect the data for test, or we can use the same data randomly from the training data. It's depending on us. Finally, we will build a model. After the building, we will assess the model. We must need to assess whether we will get perfect model or not. These all are considered as a modeling. If you think about our case study, what they want to do is they need to cluster their tourists based on their interest. For that, as a team, research team, they decide they are planning to use the k-means clustering algorithms. So how they will find out k-means? Their business objective says they need to group their customers into different clusters based on their interest. So as a research team, find out what are the different techniques are there to cluster their customers. Based on this, they will find different algorithms. Among them, they will find out which one is highly efficient for data. So they will choose k-means algorithm. After choosing this algorithm, they feed their data into this algorithm and they will generate the data model. From the model, let's say this is the model they are generating. Then they are insert their test data and they will look at whether this model work properly or this model cluster their customers accurately. They will look at different number of clusters. Sometimes they cluster their tourist into 3 clusters or 5 clusters. They are using the elbow ROC return ROC curves. There is a curve, return ROC curve. From the curve, they will find out how many clusters. How they will find out the number of clusters? Whenever we are discussing the clustering, we will find out. They will find out the distance between the data points. Which distance is low? Let's say here we have 3 data points. This distance is 5 centimeter. This distance is 8 centimeter. So the total distance between these 3 data points is, let's say it's 1 centimeter. Total distance is 8 plus 5 plus 1, altogether 14. What will happen if they cluster each one as a, let's say this data set have different data points. This data points 1, this one, each and every one have 1 distance. So total distance is 4. So it is a low error. Similarly, we will find out the distances between data points. Based on this, they will find out best number of clusters. So this is the way they apply the k-means algorithm. Let's say this is the result. Let's say after they are clustering their customers, they will find out 5 clusters. 5 clusters in the sense they will cluster their tourists into 5. one youngest with school schedules, youngest with visiting families, sorry, the oldest, second oldest. Likewise, they are clustering their tourists. Based on these clusters, they will do some different works. This is their ultimate goal. They need to cluster their tourist customers, tourists into n number of clusters. This is what their outcome of these modeling techniques. If you think about the evaluation, it's very important. After we are modeling, we can evaluate whether this model is fit perfectly with that business objectives. What is the quality of the model, what we are developed. Before we deploy the model, we must need to evaluate. We must need to evaluate the results, what we are predict from the model. Also, we must need to review the steps, what we are execute from the beginning, what are the steps we are doing, whether we have some mistakes in the steps or we miss some important specs, each and everything we will check. That is called evaluation. Evaluate the process. If they miss anything, we can do, we can go from here, we can start from here and move one by one step and go to this stage again. Also, the important thing is we must need to think whether we have satisfied the business goal. What is the ultimate business goal? We must need to, in our case study, we must need to cluster the customers into, cluster the tourists based on their interest. So we need to think whether we have achieved the ultimate goal, whether we have efficiently clustered their tourists. That is the ultimate goal. Also, we need to check the accuracy of the model. It's also considered as the evaluations. Let's think about, we are developing a model for fraud detection in credit cards. We are, as a student, you are developing a model or doing a data mining research to predict the fraud detection activities in credit card transaction. But you are getting an accuracy of 60%. Is it possible to apply this model in real world? No. If you are doing a credit card transaction fraud detection, you must have an accuracy around 99.9%. Then only you can apply this in real world. What will happen if you apply the 60% accurate model? Every time it will create false alarms. Am I correct? Sometimes the authorized person is doing a transactions, because of that accuracy of the model, it will give some false alarms. So what will happen? It causes problem to the customers. Customer dissatisfaction happen. So you must need to re-evaluate your system or project and you try to increase the accuracy of the model. Did you understand what I'm saying? If you are developing a fraud detection model, you must need to consider the high accuracy. If you fail to achieve the high accuracy, you can't apply those models. So you start from the evaluation again and you do good business understanding and data understanding, data preparation, and again you model and you try to improve the accuracy or you improve the prediction efficiency by evaluating the model again and again. These are the steps what we are discussed. Evaluate the results. Evaluate the results in the sense we evaluate the clusters. If we have 5 clusters, we need to evaluate whether this type of cluster here, what are the specific properties, what are the interest, everything we can evaluate. Also, we will review the process and we can determine what is the next step, whether we will deploy or whether we restart from the beginning. It's depending on our results, what we are getting from the model. What they are doing here in this case study, they are cluster the customers and they will test their results by using these clusters, and they will find out the evaluation results. But it says they are getting 93% of correctly classified. So their model is highly accurate. So they move to the deployment process. What will happen? They are getting an accuracy of 61 or 61 percentage. It's not satisfiable. So they do again from the beginning, from the business understanding, and they will step by step move. And again, they are develop the model and they try to improve the accuracy around 90 percentage. That is the way they are doing. In this case study, they are evaluating the results, whether this clustering is efficiently clusters or not. The final step is deployment. If you think about the deployment, it is a real world implementation. We don't develop the project just for any research works. The ultimate goal is we need to apply these research project in the real world. Deployment in the sense we apply or use in the real world. Whenever we are developing a model, that is an investment for us. That is a return on investment. Based on these clusters, we will do some recommendation for future. So it's satisfied by the customers. So if you think about here, what they are doing here is they are developing a fraud detection system for an information system in credit card firms or other industries in bank. Based on this model, they will predict the fraud activities of their customers. After we are deploying this model, it's very helpful for decision making. Let's say in a case study, they are cluster their customers into different interests and different ages. Then what will happen when new customers or new tourists visit to Sri Lanka? They will directly, okay, this person comes under this type of age category. So we can recommend, easily we can recommend the places based on their interest. So the tourists are very satisfied with a travel agent. That is the way we can success, or we can achieve high customer satisfaction by deploying this model. If you think about the deploying, we must need to plan from which location we deploy, for how long we can deploy. Also, we must need to plan the monitoring and maintenance. We can't do nothing with after the deployment. We continuously update the model because the time to time the tourist behavior is changed. So we must need to change the model. So we must need to continuously monitor and maintain the deploy. After the deployment, we must need to monitor the model. Then we can develop the reports, monthly reports or weekly reports. Also, we can review the project. This all tasks comes under deployment. In this case study, they are deploying a system in airport for the tourists. They can easily access the system and they will fill the profile. Based on the profile, they will recommend some new places, or they will recommend some different places based on their interest. So that is the real world applications or deployment of this project. Do you have any doubts? This is the entire summary. These are the post-industrial standard process. These 6 steps, 6 phases contain different tasks. If you think about business understanding, determine the business objective, assess the situation, determine the data mining goals, develop the production project plan. These are different tasks comes under different phases. This is an overview of these 6 phases. Do you have any doubts? You can ask me now. Up Up to now, you have any doubts, you can ask me. Do you have any doubts? Do you have any doubts up to now? Hello, are you in the session? I will upload an assignment related to this. What you need to do that assignment, you must need to explain the cross-industrial standard process for data mining by using a case study for different industry case studies, whether it's a banking, whether it's a telecommunication, whether it's an education, or whether it's a hospital, whatever the different industry, you must need to explain these 6 phases of cross-industrial standard process of data mining with a case study. Okay, I will upload how many pages you need to write and what is the format you need to follow. Everything I will upload in the LMS. You need to explain these cross-industrial standard process for data mining with the help of one case study. Did you understand? Hello, did you understand?
Okay, sir.
If you have any doubts, you can ask. I just explained with the help of tourism. You must need to explain each and every phases of cross-industrial standard process, different case studies, whether you can get education or whether you can get restaurant, whatever, based on different case studies, you must need to explain these 6 phases, how you can start and how you can do step by step. Based on my example, you need to submit a document, whether it's a, I think it's a 3-page or something. I will upload the details. It's a group activity for 4th years. Okay, I will tell you how you can select your groups. Okay, you must need to explain with the case study or real world example each and every phases. Do you have any doubts? You can ask me up to now what we are discussed. Did you understand everything or didn't understand anything? Don't you have any doubts? At least answer for these questions. Do you have any doubts? Yes or no? Yeah, it's individual for 3rd years. I will change the scope for 3rd years and 4th years. So based on this, I will tell you whether it's a group or individual. If I increase the scope, I will give as a group. If it is a normal scope, I will give as an individual. I will upload the LMS and then you can continue. The important thing, you must need to follow some standard documentation, whether it's an IEEE format or other different formats. I will mention you. Also, I will tell you how you can select your group. Okay. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Don't you have any doubts? 53, 16 ICT 53. Did you understand everything? Kasun, did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. If you don't have any doubts, we will wind up the session. Thank you very much.